Amongst that, at the age of 8, I had molestation happen to me, and it was from my stepbrother.
You're too pretty to have cancer, or, cancer doesn't look like this. And I'm like, what does terminal illness look like to you?
Hello and welcome. You are watching Beyond Ordinary with your host, Maya Spella Cullins. And I have a beautiful young lady with me on today. Even though her story may seem or may hit close to home for so many, she's going to be able to tell you her story. And then at the end, you're going to see the true inspiration in what she's doing today. So let's welcome Miss Courtney Petty. Thanks for being on Beyond Ordinary.
Thank you for having me.
No problem, no problem. So I know we mentioned and we talked about a few things that happened in your past that made you the woman that you are today. Tell the audience and myself a little bit about that.
So basically, coming up as a young child, I went through a lot of domestic violence within the household. Amongst that, at the age of 8, I had molestation happen to me, and it was from my stepbrother. After that, I experienced physical abuse from my stepfather. And so my mother was always an entrepreneur. So, coming up, she had her own business.
And you were left in the hands of your stepfather and your brother.
No. Well,
while she was working?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
My stepfather worked too. Actually, when my stepfather did the physical abuse, my mother was there.
Oh, she was present.
She was present. He was very controlling. So basically with that situation, I didn't ask for permission to get up from a table. We were eating dinner. Since I didn't ask for permission, he took it upon himself to basically physically beat me. He hit me with the belt, but it got out of hand because he was hitting me in my face and everything. At that moment, I ran to call my father. And he came to pick me up, and I basically went with him for 3 months. It kind of hurted me because I felt like a foster child. I felt like, why is this man still living in the house?
With your mother?
With my mom.
And you're with your
And I'm over here with my father. And, me and my father have a great relationship now. However, when I was coming up, he was in and out of prison a lot. So he did things in his past. My mother went through a lot of domestic violence with him. But I just felt kind of neglected. My father was working, so I was there with his wife, and he was always out of town working. And so the 3 months I stayed with my father, I didn't see my mom. We've had conversations as far as, why didn't you come and see me? And she's like, well, his wife didn't want me to come over there. And I felt like, Mom, you knew what school I went to. You could have come to the school. Yes.
So how did it make you feel as a child with being molested by your brother, stepbrother, being physically abused by your father? How did it make you feel?
I felt horrible. Actually, I didn't feel like I got love from home. So I started looking for love in boys, to be honest with you. In my mom's household, I didn't like being there. So we had everything as far as a nice house. We had a pool in the back. But I didn't feel like my mom gave that love or attention to me.
So you saw it in other places?
I saw it in other places. So I got pregnant at 16, had my daughter at 17. Her father went to the military. We were high school sweethearts. And so he went off to the military, and he passed away at 28. He had a heart attack.
So what during that particular time, have you, I hear that you have a lot of hurt, a lot of unanswered why you're not there. As of today, do you have a relationship with your mother?
It's not great. We talk, we see each other, but I wish it could be better, but it's not great.
Right, right. So is it anything that if it's someone that's watching that you can tell them, just imagine if it was you, if it was another Courtney out there that's experiencing what you experience, what can you tell them?
Stay strong, basically, keep your head up. When I was coming up, I used to listen to Tupac. And a lot of music will kind of get me through my pain, So I would just say that things are going to get better. A lot of times what we're going through now is only temporarily. And it's a storm. It's kind of like when it rains outside. It's a storm. But then once that storm is over, it's a brighter day.
Right.
If you could find some type of outlet, because not all of us have someone we can go to in our family or to talk to. Maybe it could be a friend or, somebody on the outside. Try to go there, but just stay strong, and it will get better.
One of the questions I have for you, did you ever tell your mother about your stepbrother? I know you said she was present when the abuse was going on with your stepfather, but what about?
So I was kind of scared. I did kind of do like hints. I didn't necessarily tell her what was going on, but I would be like, Mom, he's coming in my room. And my mother actually told me she actually got up one night. She sat on the steps. She saw him come out his room and to go into my room. And she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I got to use the bathroom, because I had a bathroom in my room. And we also had a bathroom in the hall. And she's like, no, you can use the bathroom in the hall. I felt like it should have been something there when you saw that happening. Not just, what are you doing?
Right.
But I did give her hints. I never said he's molesting me. I may have said I woke up one day, because actually I was 8 and I woke up, he was standing over me. So it was just a lot of little things. I told my mom he's coming in my room. Never physically said the molestation at that time.
Right. And how much older was he? You were 8, and how old was
14.
He was 14. Okay. And so the conversation never transpired with you actually telling your mom?
Not when I was younger.
Was it because you were scared, or because
I was scared?
You didn't know how?
All of that mixed together.
Okay.
All of that.
Okay. So if it's another young child, either over child, because a lot of people can deal with it and hold on to it for years, what would be something that you can tell them that it's okay to speak their truth about what's going on so that they can heal?
I would basically say, if something is going on, make sure you tell someone. A lot of times we hold it inside and we don't say anything. And so, if you have someone that you can go to or tell and try to go ahead and get their help, so maybe it can stop and it doesn't linger on.
Right,
basically.
Right. Good stuff. So now you have a lot of stuff that you are working on and that you're doing that I know is a true inspiration. But, I always like to look at what has happened, what's your background, why are you doing what you're doing, what's keeping you motivated. And I know you said a lot of your pain comes with you divining your purpose.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So after I had my daughter, I was in high school. I still graduated high school. Then I went off to college. Well, reality sets in where I'm trying to work, I'm trying to go to school, and I have this baby to take care of. So basically something got to give. I kind of let college go and I focused on working. And even at the age of 18 or 19, these jobs wasn't paying any money. I've always been a hustler. My father was from the streets. My mother was an entrepreneur. So it's kind of like in our blood. So just things transpired over the years as far as being broke, filing bankruptcy at 21 years old. I used to work for the bank. And as I was working for the bank, I remember I had to put my truck in the shop. And it was about $1,100 to get fixed. And I'm sitting there like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this.
Right.
So at that moment, I decided to have a party. My mother told me back in the day, people would have rent parties. So I kind of got dancers or strippers. And we started throwing parties, but I didn't think that it would turn out to be, it blew up basically. We started traveling, going out of town. And in the
What do you mean by traveling, going out of town? Doing
parties.
Okay.
Like basically guys would get married or they would have a birthday party and they wanted dancers. So they would contact me to book the girls. And then the girls would make all of their tips or whatever. I didn't know that it was going to actually blow up because at the time I was just throwing parties to get my bills paid.
Right.
However, when I started having these girls dance, they started depending on me. So it wasn't about me anymore. A lot of them had kids. One particular dancer, she did time in the Fed. She went in when she was 19. When she got out, she was 21. She couldn't get a job. So me throwing parties was allowing her. She had 2 kids. So it stopped being about me. When I basically got on with the police department, I used to work for Clayton County Police. I kind of, try to let that go because now I was making more money at the police department. I didn't have to work 2 and 3 jobs like I did in the past.
Right.
So I kind of just started staying focused there.
And then now you're doing so much more. So
Yes.
I know we have to take a break real quick. And
Okay.
So y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. I know it's more stuff that we need to talk about.
Okay.
And most definitely we want to talk with Courtney about what she's doing now. So you already heard her story from what it looked like when you were growing up all the way down to where she's at now. So just make sure you stay connected. Don't change that channel. You are watching Beyond Ordinary with your host, Maya Spella Collins.
I basically quit my job because my daughter was having a hard time at school. They basically described her as being a zombie. I didn't know what I was going to do at the time. I was making great money at the police department, but for me, it was about my child. It wasn't about the money I was making.
Right.
So I prayed to God, and I was like, God, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to step out on faith. Mental health is important to me because I believe that we all face mental health in some type of form. Back in the day, coming up in our community, a lot of us would just deal with issues that we went through and we wouldn't get any help. So if you can get help, it's good to go and get checked.
Beyond Your Ordinary, the Maya Spella Cullen Show, I'm so excited to announce because so many people struggle with issues every single day. And when I say issues feeling like you want to give up on life, there's no hope, that nobody loves you, that you have no purpose in life. But I'm here to bring back that hope. I'm here to bring light and shed light on various situations, from marriage to families, to the school system, down to the hospitals that you may lay. I am your girl, Maya Spella Cullens. Be connected, stay connected, and get the help that you need. Welcome back, and thanks for still staying connected to Beyond Ordinary with your host, Maya Spella Cullens. I still have this beautiful young lady, Miss Courtney Petty, here, and she has told us so much from her childhood trauma down to learning ways to be efficient so that she can pay her bills. And this story can be, an everyday story. It can be a story, obviously, that I know a lot of people that are watching that can relate in so many different ways. How do I pay my bills? What can I do? Mm-hmm. I've had this past, even a similar story down to a young lady that was incarcerated and getting out and don't know, what she can do. So with knowing all of that and your experience in life, what are some things that you can give to the young men or women that are watching that have a similar situation as you and so many others?
Basically, if you can try to find extra ways to make money, you can start your own business. There's so much you can do out here. Getting good credit. You can leverage your credit to get ahead in life. So I would say first, try to find ways of making more income if you are struggling financially, working on your credit, and, starting to think of ways to start your own business in some type of fashion.
Right. Well, thanks. You have definitely blessed us. I want you to, if someone wanted to reach out to you, how can they connect with you? But before we do that, tell us about where you at now so they can know why they need to connect with you.
Okay, so I want to kind of tell you how I transitioned into my own business.
Okay.
So when I was working for the police department, I have an older brother. He did 12 years in the feds. Mm-hmm. He was in trucking. He always told me, Courtney, I'm going to teach you how to run a trucking company while I'm in prison. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. When my daughter's father passed away, I was at the police department. I basically quit my job because my daughter was having a hard time in school. Mm-hmm. They basically described her as being a zombie. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what I was going to do at the time. I was making great money at the police department, but for me, it was about my child. It wasn't about the money I was making.
Right.
So I prayed to God, and I was like, God, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to step out on faith. Mm-hmm. And that was the best decision I could have ever made. My first year, I made 6 figures working from home. My oldest brother was coming to the halfway house from prison, and he started teaching me about trucking. Mm-hmm. Trucking basically changed my life. So I own a trucking business. I also have a vending business. I have a nonprofit organization, and I'm working on my 3rd book right now.
Now tell me about your 1st and 2nd, 3rd book. What's the names of it?
Okay, so the 1st book is How to Become a Freight Broker Agent. Mm-hmm. The 2nd book is From Managing Strippers to Managing Truckers. Kind of talk about my transition from managing the strippers. Now I'm dealing with truckers. Mm-hmm. And the 3rd book is How to Get the Bag.
Okay, so all of your topics are so phenomenal. You got to stop right there. So
okay.
Managing strippers to managing truckers. Uh-huh. Tell me a little bit, what's the synopsis behind that? What is?
Basically, it goes more into my life. It goes basically why I had to manage the strippers, things that I encountered throughout life, and then my transition into getting into trucking. It talks about my brother, how he kind of got me started in trucking, and now I manage the truckers, became very successful, made 6 figures doing that. And then that's basically what it talks about.
Right. And then how do you use what has happened in your life to be a stepping stone to a greater ladder to what you're doing now?
Well, I started a nonprofit organization. It's actually after me, the Courtney Petty Foundation. And mainly with the organization, I want to help women, either teen moms, single moms, that they can become financially stable or just help them with any issues. So I just recently started that this year.
Okay, okay. And then if someone wanted to connect with you, how could they connect with you?
Instagram is at Miss Petty 85. Facebook, Courtney Petty. And I believe that's it. And my trucking website is bumblebeedispatch.com.
Okay, all righty. Well, thanks for coming on the show. I know they are blessed, but before we leave, you have to give the young ladies and men some inspirational words. And what would that be?
Stay the course, never give up, and just stay focused.
Well, you are watching Beyond Ordinary with your host, Maya Spella Collins, and we thank Miss Courtney Petty for being here on today. Make sure that you go check out her website for more information about her products and her services and what she does. Thank you guys. Be blessed. And if you want more information on Beyond Ordinary, make sure you stay connected to beyondordinary.tv.
I kind of felt like if this was going to be the end of the road for me, like now was the time for me to go.
So you was already planning in your mind the fact that, okay, now that I'm diagnosed with cancer, I may not be here tomorrow.
Right.
So you're just going to take the leap of faith and step out and move to Atlanta. For more updates on the show, for more episodes, and to find out more about me, please make sure you log in to beyondordinary.tv. Hello and welcome to Beyond Ordinary. I am your host, Maya Spella Collins, and I have G.I. Jane with me on today, and she is going to bless us with her presence and her story as it pertains to different life struggles that she has struggled with and how she overcame it. So welcome and thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So I know we talked a little bit about your past experiences. So I want you to take me there. Give me a little bit about who you are and what led you here to Atlanta.
Well, who I am. My name is Dominique, Miss G.I. Jane Williams, or that's the name that people call me. I got that name from being in the military. I was in the military for a few years, and then from there, I transitioned to moving to Atlanta. But in Cincinnati, part of the reason why I joined the military was because Cincinnati isn't really the most positive place to be. I didn't have a lot of support there, so I kind of wanted to go into the military to travel, to get out of my hometown, and to kind of find a transition into a career that was better for me. So at the time, I thought the military was it.
Right. How long did you stay in the military?
For about 3 years.
Okay.
So it was short. So when that didn't work for me and I had to go back home, it just wasn't it. I knew I was bigger than Cincinnati. I knew there was more for me out there. It wasn't until that I got sick with cancer that I decided it was the time. I kind of felt like if this was going to be the end of the road for me, like now was the time for me to go.
So you was already planning in your mind the fact that, okay, now that I'm diagnosed with cancer, I may not be here tomorrow.
Right.
So you're just going to take the leap of faith and step out and move to Atlanta.
That's really exactly what I did. I literally put as much of my clothes as I could into my Camaro.
Oh, wow.
And with one of my friends down to Atlanta. I didn't know where I was going to stay. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a place.
You just came?
I just came, and
Okay.
I stayed.
And since being here, how is that experience as it pertains to you having cancer? I'm assuming you had it, you moved here. How did that look? Who was around you? What did you experience as an individual? Because I'm assuming you was alone. You didn't have family that came with you. You came by yourself. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that.
Well, really, my friend from home that I actually came to Atlanta with, their family took me in for a while, like helped me get on my feet, helped me when it came to transitioning to medical care and getting the care I need, because I didn't have anybody helping me with that back home. You know,
Mm-hmm.
everybody thought it was a mockery, you know, it was something to pick or make fun of because I was so young and people didn't understand, and it was a joke. And some people didn't even believe. They like, nah,
And she was just
you know,
talking.
Dominique
And
can't
you
have
put
cancer.
that on you. Okay.
They like, you're too pretty to have cancer, or, you know, cancer doesn't look like this. And I'm like, what does terminal illness look like to you? Or, I mean, why do I have to look so sick on the outside to be sick on the inside? You know, people go around every day with things and we wouldn't know.
So where are you at now?
Now I'm in remission from cancer, and that's a beautiful thing. I'm more in tune with my health. I'm more in tune spiritually with myself. You know, I feel like I was real disconnected until I found a home base, a family. Now it's more so a peace.
Right.
I didn't have
You didn't
peace.
have it at first.
I didn't have it. It took a while to find it.
So take me down that journey of not having peace and being diagnosed with cancer. What did it look like?
So when I got sick, and, you know, I've always been this aspiring to be something person in my city, which is really ambitious. It's like, you was popping, now you're not. You losing your hair, you getting skinny, you sick. I wasn't like received with, you know, like, I don't know what the word for it would be, but I felt like more so tolerated than celebrated. When I came to Atlanta, I was celebrated for the person I am and my struggles and my trials and tribulations.
Right.
You know, I lost my hair, so I was picked on, I was ridiculed.
How did it make you feel? And I know we build so many defense
We
mechanisms.
do.
So that we nobody can see it, but I know it's there. So I want you to go to that place and just tap into it for us, because the thing about it is people that's watching that are inspired by your story. And I know if it was something that you can give them and you could tell them, if you go there, that could bless them. So I'm going to let you think about it, and we are going to come right back. So hold on to your seat, because we want to make sure that you get the information from Ms. G.I. Jane on what that place looked like.
And I remember by the time Sunday would hit, which would be the end of my work week, I would be so drained because I'm still going to chemo, I'm doing radiation, and my coworkers don't know this. Mental health is important to me because of peace. Peace is something that we all need, and it's essential to life.
Welcome back, and I am your host, Maya Spella Cullins, and I have Miss G.I. Jane here. We left you, I know, holding on to the end of your seat, but she has a phenomenal story to start with, and she's definitely going to take us to that place of darkness, that place of outside of what the world could see when she was by herself. We want to know what that looked like. So, Miss Jane, go ahead and tell us what it looked like.
I remember there were times when I would be working once I first had moved here, and I would go to work on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And on those days, I would work through the week. We have to work, and I'd be at work from probably like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock to about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And I remember by the time Sunday would hit, which would be the end of my work week, I would be so drained because I'm still going to chemo, I'm doing radiation, and my coworkers don't know this. I mean, some of them did, you know, the ones that became like my family. And it was just, I would sit in the hospital with them and
take your time.
It was a different feeling to have somebody be there with you, especially when I was back home. I had real family members and friends who didn't understand, who
it's okay,
didn't support what I was going through. And here I am with complete strangers. so many people are trying to do so much to help me. I had dancers, this is Atlanta, so I had dancers from clubs even reach out to me to
show their support.
Show their support, have fundraisers, raise money to benefit my treatment. People who would come check up on me, bring me food, bring me medicine, sit with me in the hospital. When back home, I have a whole family. I have a big family. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of friends back home. But none of these people came to Atlanta. None of these people reached out. None of these people really did anything. I mean, I got a few keep going, but that's nothing like the feeling of having somebody there with you to hold your hand, to tell you it's going to be okay, to help you create a plan, to, when you don't know where to go, help you seek out treatment or programs or whatever you need, to encourage you when you feeling some kind of way because you don't have hair and you got to wear these wigs that you don't really want to wear because you remember what it was like to have hair, or, one day you this size and then you that size, and
it can take a toll.
It took a big toll. And
so if it's someone out there that is listening and that's watching, and a family member that may have a family member, like I had a sister, what advice would you give them? Because obviously it's very essential and important to be there for someone that's going through and not be judged. What would you tell them?
I would definitely tell them to keep going, keep your head up. Don't worry about the people who don't support you. Reach out to the people who are showing their support. Those are the people that you need to cling on to. You can't worry about what's the bad. You have to hold on to the good. Right. I really had to find a deeper meaning in my faith. It definitely brought me closer to the Most High with what I was going through. I had to have something to hold on to, and that was definitely it.
So tell me about where are you at now as it pertains to your goals?
So now currently I've been indulging in acting classes. I just did my first debut in Warner Brothers Shaft.
Oh, wow. Jackson. Congratulations. Mm-hmm. That's major.
It was.
It's major.
It was.
So I know you have a lot of things going on, and I know everyone that is watching would love to connect with you. So how can they find you?
Okay, they can connect with me on Instagram at Mrs. G.I. Jane. That's MRSGIJANE. And I also have a Twitter page and a website, and they're all the same, MRSGIJ.
All righty. Well, thank y'all so much for tuning in on today and watching Beyond Ordinary. If y'all wasn't blessed, I know I was blessed. And make sure that you connect by going to www.beyondordinary.tv. Again, I am your host, Maya Spella Cullins, and I'm with the beautiful G.I. Jane.